excited to be part of this, and quite happy that you've invited us to join you on this.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Clint.
Let's just see. I just want to maximize that. There we go.
You're also asking for Sipho from PBF to come on. He's also on our panelists. I have sent him another invite. We'll see.
Oh, there. I think Herman is about to join.
Okay, so
Hello, Herman.
His mic is on mute.
Yes, your mic is on mute.
You don't by any chance have the other Sipho's phone number, do you? Or not? I don't think I do.
No, I don't. Perhaps you can text Sasha. Maybe she'll be able to convey the message.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Welcome, Herman.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hi, Herman.
Good morning.
Trish.
Good morning.
Sipho is there. Sipho is there. He's an attendee. So, yes. So convert him into a panelist. Sorry.
Okay, fantastic. Yes.
Great. He's just
great. Awesome.
There we go.
There we go. Hi, Sipho.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for that. Can I make the place look much better? Switch on the light.
You look good.
Much better.
How are you today, Sipho?
Thank you.
We're matching. We both got the green code.
Fine. How are you, everyone? Hi.
Good,
Yes,
nice
we
to meet you, Sipho.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Clint. Nice to meet you, Ryan. Nice to meet you, Herman.
Good morning.
Lovely
Sipho.
to meet you. Lovely to meet you all.
Great.
Thanks.
So we've got everyone here. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for being part of this webinar. We've got about 15 more minutes before we go live, and I mean, we always just come together and just check in. And obviously, Clint and Herman and Ryan, it's your first time here. Sipho Gazimo, myself, and Trish have done this before, and it's Sipho's second time with us. And really, it's for an hour. We're gonna go live at 12 o'clock, and really before that, we're just really getting to know each other, just chatting. And then when we go live, I will just obviously open up and just welcome everyone. And I've invited Ryan just to lead us in a beautiful mindfulness practice. So we are combining obviously mindfulness, innovation, and resilience to obviously assist businesses in navigating this new normal. So Ryan is our mindfulness speaker for today. And then after that, it will be followed, but before Ryan will do the mindfulness. And then after that, Sipho, you can then obviously introduce the PPF and then speak on behalf of PPF. And then you'll hand over back to me, and then then Ryan, Clint, and Herman, then we'll go in that order.
Okay. Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Sipho, am I going to ask
Yes.
the questions at the end? Am I going to follow up on questions?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what I'll do is I'll look for the most common questions. And if you can also keep your eyes open, but if I see anything quite common, I'm going to ask you towards the end, our experts that are on here with us, just so that we can get questions answered, because none of our attendees are live.
See. Okay.
So they'll just ask questions either in the chat or in the side either in the Q&A or on the chat. So that's right, yes.
Okay.
So at the beginning, I will flight just a short little presentation really, which is just the marketing stuff that we use. And it's just really 3 slides. And then after that, I'll switch it off, and then we'll probably come back into the screen. I know Clint had said that you don't have, and Ryan, do you have a PowerPoint presentation? No. Okay, so which is beautiful. So it's basically going to be conversational. And this is really something that we do love, because then it's also more interactive than having the slides. So this one is going to be completely different, and only the slides we're going to have are the first 3 that I'm going to be flighting, just to give them a bit of background information. And then after that, we go into the conversation.
Okay.
Then the other thing is, we haven't had that many RSVPs this week. I think people are looking like they're settling into work again, you know, going to the office. So I think they're readjusting their times and everything. But obviously this will be shared with all the people from the PBF that we, you know, that have joined us prior to this. So if they have missed it, C4, we will be sharing the recording with them, okay?
Okay. Perfect.
I just want to test my presentation quickly, just to have it on the right slide as a start. Okay, there we go. Great.
Wow, that's great.
Okay, I think everything is, and then is there any questions from our panelists? Perhaps you may want to know of our previous topics, anything?
Yeah, what have your previous topics been?
No, just to ask, let's say,
Yes, Sipo, you can also ask. I've got you, Ryan. I've noted you.
no, just to ask if maybe there are issues that of interest that one of the panelists is raising. Are we also allowed amongst the panelists to ask questions?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. So Ryan, we've had, this is our 5th webinar, and I guess for everyone, this is our 5th webinar. We started off in May, and at the beginning, the first one was on how businesses can evolve their perspective during and beyond COVID-19. And there we had 4 speakers who were talking about the so-called new normal and what this new normal could be from a business perspective. We had Mongani Kanyile, who's also, who's an attorney actually, who spoke to that. And then we had a doctor who survived, well, obviously survived COVID-19, and she was then talking about what employers can actually expect from a physical and a mental perspective, you know, when it comes to employees and their wellness. And again, it was looking at the whole balance of lives and livelihoods. And then we had an HR specialist who was talking about, you know, what will HR or human resource solutions look like, you know, during this new normal. And then we had a speaker then who was introducing the concept of mindfulness for business. Again, as also as a tool, you know, that businesses can be utilizing to navigate this new normal. So that was the very first one. The second one, we then introduced the whole concept of mindfulness, innovation, and resilience. And we went deeper into what this mindfulness thing is, really, and how it would fit into this new normal. We went deeper into HR, and then we spoke about innovation and, you know, e-commerce and businesses going online and really the trend around that. And then after that, we had business rescue. I'm just trying to remember, you know, we've had so many.
And that was from a financial view. Yours is from more of a legal point of view, yeah.
So we had a business rescue Henko, so from a financial point of view, thank you, Trish, for that. And then last week, we had how to digitize your business. So again, it follows the same flow. We go deeper into mindfulness, introducing a different perspective of mindfulness. And then obviously then today, to answer also today's, we are focusing on the legal perspective for businesses in crisis. So that's been the theme, and that's basically what I do introduce to everyone in case people have not been part of the other webinar. So that's really my introduction for everyone.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
Our attendees are joining us, so we are online. I just want to tell everybody that it's fine. We can carry on chatting.
And then are there any questions based on the topics that we've had? And I mean, maybe you might be interested in like what were the common themes of questions and so on.
I suppose for me, the first one was quite interesting in the times that we are in at the moment. And how do people react to that sort of webinar? What were their concerns about sort of the way forward in this pandemic?
Trish, please feel free to come in. So I think the first one, I mean, everyone was very interested, is still very interested, because our focus is on solutions. You know, we're looking at solutions and bringing in different perspectives. And I think the first one, because it was right early, 21st of May. So at that time, everyone was obviously looking for information around where can we get funding. You know, government has made these announcements, where do we need to go to get funding, and so on. And then obviously part of that then also informed then the follow-ups of our topics, like your business rescue. And obviously resilience, you know, where can business go to actually find such resources and so on. Anything from your side, Trish?
No, not really. I think you covered it, Sipho. Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm wondering if our attendees can hear us.
We've got, we still have 6 more minutes to go, so we still have a little bit of time. Yes, right?
Sipho, what are the main concerns that are coming up for people with regards to our topic, specifically mindfulness and innovation? What are some of the challenges people are facing, and what are some of the conversations that are being had right now about this?
Well, what's interesting, right, is that in the beginning, we were finding that people were totally traumatized. People just didn't, they were frozen in fear. And I have seen quite a big difference in the last month. I think that now people are able to go back to work and reassess their workplaces. I think they've got a lot of worries, but they also feel like they're ready for change. A lot of people are actually really excited about changing their businesses, which is, it's very, very cool to see that. So very open to mindfulness, very open to, you know, wellness in the workplace. Because I think people really, really are ready to change, and it's a perfect time to make changes that need to be done.
And I think one of the things that we did talk a lot about, Ryan, is stress. I mean, there's no doubt that we are living in very stressful times. You know, whether your business is in crisis, whether your life is in crisis, whether you are losing a job, whether you've got loved ones who are being impacted by the virus. At the end of the day, stress is a common thread. You know, and the reason why we are combining mindfulness and innovation is because obviously we are all operating in a space of stress. And how do we look after ourselves? How do we look after our employees? How do we look after our businesses holistically? So looking at the human, and obviously which is the lives and the livelihoods. And Trish, so we got, I mean, there was a lady, there's a business, I think we got feedback, I think it was last week. Someone who then also started incorporating mindfulness in their business practices, and they already, you know, they're feeling more positive about the future rather than being stuck and paralyzed by fear.
Well, one lady came to the first webinar, and then last week she sent us an email saying that her entire business was turned around. She has reinvented it, and she's so busy, busier than before lockdown, that she couldn't attend the webinar last week, which was very cool.
Wow.
No, that's great.
Yeah. Sipho, or we're going to have a nickname for the different Siphos. For PBS people, what are you finding, because you're dealing with business people all the time, business owners, what are you finding generally in the workplace are the biggest problems at the moment? Other than we know about finances, obviously a problem, but generally.
I think at this stage, predominantly, it's... Oh, sorry. You want to go, Sipho?
Go first, Kent.
Generally, it's, as you mentioned, finances, but it's predominantly trying to save jobs. You know, how to keep workers on during these times, and to keep, you know, give them some sort of job security. That seems to be one of the biggest factors at the moment, because, as you know, staff generally make up a huge expense in a business, together with, you know, obligations to landlords. So that's been a little bit tricky for many businesses trying to keep staff members. And of course, there are others that are not fortunate to do that. They are forced to make changes, which include changing the lives of some staff members. So that's been something that we've been dealing with quite a lot lately, or I have. Particularly issues versus such as laying off staff members, putting them on short time versus retrenchment, those type of things. Sorry, Sipo, you had something to say?
I think from my side, it relates more. I think from my general observation, our observation is that it's mainly around the managing of the COVID, the pandemic in the workplace. Because it's something new. You need to have a compliance officer. You need to have all this to protect the staff. So it's a kind of who must come, who must not come. So the what do you call this? The having them in different times and dates is something new for most of the employees, especially the manufacturing sector and the services that require more manpower in the workplace. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is access to funding. Because when there's no guarantee for customers, you need to have security in terms of funding. So access to funding. And then the issue around the process of getting those funds is that's another thing. You have UIF, you have the banks and so forth. So those are issues, and the uncertainty. When is this coming to an end? People are starting to get anxious to say, when is this coming to an end? Because people want to go back to their normal lives. So it's a bit of a challenge, but that's the general observation.
Are you finding that more and more people are testing positive in the workplace? More people are actually getting ill now because it's obviously growing daily, the stats.
No, actually not in the workplace, to be honest. Infections are taking place in the social space more than in the workplace. Because in the workplace, my observation, most of the workplace, people are ensuring that there's compliance. You can't enter your building if you didn't spray, you didn't follow the procedures. But infection is taking place in the social space, and then they move with it to the workplace. A simple example, a teacher get infected in the social place, on Monday they go to school. I'm just making an example. So the problem is not in the workplace, but it's a challenge for workplace, how you balance the two. You can't say to anybody, you're not allowed to come to work. I mean, those who are using public transport in transition to work, you don't know what's happening. So those are the challenges that the workplace is faced with.
I have an interesting legal question this week, and that is for a business owner who has gone thoroughly through COVID-19, restrictions and laws and regulations at work, for an employee that is just not sticking to them. So apparently they found out that they can't give them notice because they just keep having to educate them. But what happens in the workplace if you have employees that are just not prepared to budge legally and keep it safe for other employees?
Well, I think the most effective tool would be to try and encourage employees like that to work from home and not to have them at the workplace, because that's the problem if they're not buying into the workplace measures which the government has now made mandatory that you need to have. The difficulty you will have, I suppose, would be how do you, manage employees like that work from home? Do they actually perform their work? That's another problem on its own. But in terms of solving the first hurdle, you get them to work from home to the extent that you can. And I think there's also an obligation on employers to ensure that the environment is safe for employees. So if you have an employee who's not adhering to those measures, you're creating a huge risk for many other employees. And that could be problematic for the employer. So that's how I would approach it.
Thank you.
And I think just to add on to that, I know as we're preparing to also head back to the office, and obviously, again, it's going to be different. You're not going back now from 8 to 5 every day. It's different times, it's different shifts. There's been a whole training that had to happen even before you can make your way to the office. So it will be very interesting to actually hear what other businesses are doing to prepare their people to go back to the workplace. So I mean, even with us, I work in the youth development space as well. So where we have to first train the young people in the small groups. And again, coming into, I mean, obviously, if all these transmissions are happening in the social space, you might find that no training is happening there. And part of the conversations that we've been having through these webinars is, which actually we've got one that's coming up in 2 weeks' time, the unlearning for relearning. Because really what this means is that there's a whole new way of being. And this is why we brought mindfulness in, because in essence, we need to now be very mindful of each and everything that we're actually doing. So from washing your hands, whereas before it's not just about washing your hands, it is like really washing your hands. It's about sanitizing, it's about maintaining the distance, you know? And now we can't just do things as the normal, so we need to change mindsets. And that's why mindfulness is a part of these conversations. But anyway, I think we'll still continue with that. I'm just looking at the time. It's 12:03, and I think we've got about 8 people, attendees with us. And I think we're just going to start. I mean, it is only just an hour. We don't want to keep everybody back. And with that, I will just formally welcome everyone and greet everyone. Good afternoon to our participants. Good afternoon to our panelists. Welcome to our hour of mindfulness, innovation and resilience. My name is Sipokazi Kwakweni, and I am from the Lifelong Learning Academy. And today I am going to be your Masterclass facilitator. As you can see, I am not alone. I am with amazing people around me, and we'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. For the past 4 weeks, this is our 5th week, we've had the opportunity and the privilege to engage and conversate with great minds, you know, and also just bringing in different perspectives around mindfulness, innovation, and resilience. And we're also just talking earlier on about the different topics that we've covered, and just really for the benefit of those who have not been a part of our conversations, we've been focusing really on how businesses can evolve their perspective during and beyond COVID-19. We've been looking at solutions really, and so that, you know, we can start moving on and really getting into this new normal. We've covered, obviously, mindfulness has been a common thread in all our conversations. We've looked at stress, we've looked at employee wellness, we've looked at productivity, and also just, you know, introducing a mindful culture into the business. We've looked at business rescue options for businesses in crisis. And last week, we were looking at how to digitize your business. And today, we are looking at the legal perspective for businesses in crisis. So that's really what today is all about. Now, we normally start each and every session with a mindfulness practice, and I've been leading these in the past 4 weeks. And today we wanted just to bring you something a bit different. And I'm going to hand over to Ryan, who's going to lead us in our mindful practice. And after that, we'll introduce everyone and we'll get into the crux of the day. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Sipokazi, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in today and who's just sharing this space with one another. It's a real privilege to be included on such a powerful and dynamic platform. So thank you so much for inviting me. So Sipokazi has mentioned that recently and over the past few weeks that everyone on this platform has been working with concepts of mindfulness and stress, being present, understanding how important it is to practice very important tools like breathing techniques, mindful movement techniques, etc. And I really just want to come at this from the angle of, I've been listening to some of the conversations that people have been having today, the panelists. Now, my background is in psychology and within the field of mindfulness, both personal and corporate mindfulness. And what I've been hearing a lot of today is the idea, the feelings of fear that seem to be permeating the country at the moment, both in the domestic environment and within the work environment. And a lot of these fears, a lot of these concerns have to do with money and finance. And it's very, very difficult for us to focus on wellness when we're feeling a state of fear and when we have this feeling of uncertainty, because fear and uncertainty, anxiety about the future really prevents us from being present in the moment. And the problem with that is that this is what mindfulness is. It's through being present in the moment, through allowing ourselves to be completely here, that we have the opportunity to let the mind actually think properly and to open the channels of the mind to logical thinking, to creative thinking, to finding solutions to problems. So before we go into the mindfulness practice, I just want everyone to understand a little bit about what's happening inside the body during times of fear and uncertainty. In our wonderfully made bodies, we have mechanisms that in times of stress or panic make us act in certain ways. And I'm sure many people have heard of the fight or flight instinct that we have when we're in a state of shock or fear. And this state is kind of like the feeling that would happen if a lion walks into the room. And if a lion walks into the room, you're either going to try and fight the lion off or you're going to run away. And now what we're faced with in this time, in this world, is a metaphorical lion in the form of this global situation, which is causing so much fear. It's threatening people right to the core of their being, your physical safety, your home, your family, your business security. And what happens in that moment in the body when we have a lion, either an actual lion or a metaphorical lion, is that certain parts of our rational thinking processes shut down. And all we can focus on is fight or flight. All we can focus on is survive. And we really struggle in those moments to think out the box, to find creative and powerful solutions that were not there before. All we can do is we become very laser focused in those times. Our brain goes into this laser point. And what we need to help our businesses and our lives to get out of this situation is broad thinking, not narrow thinking. So the practice of mindfulness isn't a lovely luxury. It's a necessity right now to actually save our lives. Sipho has explained to everybody in the past what mindfulness is. And mindfulness is more than just being present. It is being present, but it's being present to the point where all other distractions within our minds are switched off. And we can completely just immerse ourselves with where we are right now. So it's important for us to understand that through these beautiful practices, which are very natural for us, we just sometimes forget them, is to close off the doors of the past and the future and just to be right here, right now. Let's think of times when we have fun, when we're with our friends, our families, we're playing games, we're playing soccer, we're at the gym, whatever it is, and we're really absorbed in the moment. Our anxiety levels drop, our stress levels drop, and we are able to just, our hearts open, our minds open, and we're able to engage in the fullness of the life experience. And that's really what we need, and that's what we need to be sharing with people as well. So there are powerful techniques, and there are such natural techniques for us to use. And just having a look at things like balancing the diet and lifestyle, breathing, all of these things that you've been learning with Sipho and these wonderful people. Today, I'm going to be doing a technique with you that allows you to be completely present in the environment and to find a peace and a centeredness in that, a calmness in that. No matter what's going on around you, just to be at ease with what is. And we use our body, we use our senses, because this wonderful body is the tool that we can use to just drop into the moment, to get out of the crazy busy mind. So I invite you to work with me on this. I want you to sit back wherever you are. Sit back, relax, pull up your chair, put both feet flat on the floor. Don't cross your legs, don't cross your ankles. Relax your hands on your lap, all right? Now, it doesn't matter if there's distractions around you, because that's the whole point of this exercise. And I want you to start with your eyes open. So just sit into your chair, relax your body, keep your spine straight. And I want you to look away from your phone, look away from your camera. And I want you just to look ahead of you into the room in front of you. So for me, I can see a door and I can see a bookshelf, but I want you just to have a look now. Just listen to my voice and look away from the phone or the laptop. I want you just to find a point that you can look at in front of you. And just relax the body a little bit and relax the breath. And just find something to look at, anything that feels comfortable and easy for you to look at. It can just be a point, a photo, a piece of the wall, a book, whatever it is. And just focus your eyes there. We're first using the sense of sight. Now, you don't want to move your eyes around. You just want to keep your eyes focusing on that one point. And just become aware of all the other things that you can see around you. So keep your eyes at that point, but become aware of all the other things that you notice around you in your peripheral vision, the vision around the eyes. Maybe somewhere on the side you notice something, a door or a window, or you can see different colors and shapes. Just become aware of all the colors in your environment, all the shapes, the simple things, and the complex things. And just notice that there's nothing right now in your environment that is there to harm you. You are safe. I am safe. You are safe. We are safe. I just want you to think those words to yourself. I am safe. You are safe. We are safe. Just repeat that again inside. You can say it out loud if you want, or you in your mind. And now take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, close your eyes. That's right. And just allow yourself to relax. Take another deep breath in. And breathe out. And just let that wash down from the top of your head, down your shoulders, down your arms, all the way down your legs, your feet, into the earth. And one more time, deep breath in. And breath out. And the longer your exhale, the better. Because when we exhale long, smooth breaths out, the body knows that we are safe. I am safe, you are safe, we are safe. Now I want you to go ahead and just listen to all the sounds around you. The sound of my voice coming through the conferencing, but other sounds as well. Maybe you can hear voices or traffic or sounds of nature or technology. Listen to all the sounds. And I want you to just pick one sound to listen to. It might be my voice, it might be anything in your environment. Just pick one sound to listen to now. And just bring all of your focus and all your awareness to that one sound. It might be a pleasant sound, it might not be a pleasant sound, but just observe the sound. Just see it for what it is. It's just a sound. And take another deep breath in and breathe out and just let go of the sound and wash a gentle relaxation down the body from the head to the toes. And one more time, deep breath in and out from the head down to the tips of the fingers and toes, washing that relaxation down. And one last time for your benefit, keeping the eyes closed, I want you to try and feel with your skin the sensations around you. So maybe it's the feeling of your clothing on your body. Maybe you can taste a particular taste in the mouth or smell something. Maybe it's a particular temperature that you can feel, warm or cold. Maybe you feel heavy in some parts of the body or light in some parts of the body. Just become aware of the senses of the skin, the taste, the smell. Whichever ones feel easy and natural for you. Even the feeling of your toes in your shoes or touching the floor. Just wriggle your toes. Feel your toes connecting. Feel where your hands are touching. And one more time, take a deep breath in. And breathe out and allow that to go from the top of your head down the body, all the way to the floor. And one last time for your benefit, breathing in deep as you can, deep, deep, deep. Hold the breath for a moment and let the longest exhale out now. Good. I'm okay, you're okay, we're okay. I'm safe, you are safe, we are safe. Now, I don't want you to rush to open your eyes. I want you just to feel how you feel. Notice the feeling. And then when you are ready, mindfully and with presence, gently start to open the eyes, just blinking the eyes. Just blink very slowly, don't rush. And sometimes it's good to just have a little smile that comes with that. And some days that's easier than others. But just try anyway. Thank you. How are you feeling? You don't have to say it out loud, but just say for yourself, how am I feeling now? Calm, peaceful, present, contained, safe, any word that comes to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was feeling very cold at the beginning of this session, but I'm so much warmer and much more relaxed and much more calm. And I'd love to invite our participants just to put in, in the chat box how they're feeling after that session. I mean, any word, anything that comes up for you, please do share with us. I see we've lost Sipho there. Hopefully he'll join. Without wasting any more time, I was definitely going to be introducing him, but I'm sure he will join us again. I'm going to allow everybody else to introduce themselves. We've got our speakers who are going to be taking us through the legal perspective of business, businesses in crisis. Over to you, Clint and Herman.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clint van Aswegen. I'm an attorney out in Cape Town with a law firm called Bissett Boomke McBlain, and I predominantly focus on litigation type of work, together with insolvency type of work that covers business rescue.
Good afternoon. I'm Herman Bester. I'm also from Cape Town. I'm an accountant who specialized in business rescue and insolvent matters, and I am licensed with CIPC as a senior business rescue practitioner. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Trish is behind the scenes. Trish, could you come in and say something for us?
Hi everybody. Welcome today. It's so nice to see some familiar names here and people that are joining us every week. Sadly, a lot of people can't join us, but I suppose it is positive in a way that they have gone back to work and they're finding it difficult. So they will get a recording. Please keep sharing with us and letting us know what you'd like to hear about in future webinars. It's really, really important to us. So I'm Trish Taylor from Life Retreats. I think most of you know by now. We are passionate about wellness in the workplace. Sipakazi and I do workshops on wellness in the workplace. And we focus a lot on mindfulness. So thank you, Rai. That was lovely. I feel very, very calm after that. I think you should come and do it every week. It was really, really nice. And I have to say that I feel at the moment very proudly South African, because I think the resilience of South Africans has been absolutely incredible. And I think the way generally South Africans have handled this crisis has been amazing. And working with business people, it's so awesome to see how many people are so open to change and how many people have already made positive changes in their businesses. So I feel very positive. I feel that South Africans can really do this. And I think at the moment, in many ways, we are showing the world what we can do. And I think we can grow from strength to strength. We all have our trials and tribulations with business at the moment, with finances and trying to keep jobs available for staff. And we're all going through it. But at least now we have channels to communicate with each other through, and we're doing this together. So I think going forwards, it's amazing. The positivity in everybody moving forwards in this country has been really, really awesome. So thank you, and we'll see you just now when our experts have finished chatting to you.
Thank you, Trish. And Sipho, you're right back on time. And over to you. Just to introduce yourself and just speak a bit more about these webinars and obviously PBF. Thank you.
Thank you. The COVID pandemic has brought us into what we call the new way of living. The pandemic has caused us not to interact like we used to do previously. Now, technology has come in. We always talk about the fourth industrial revolution, how technology has evolved over time and how things are done. So webinar forms part of that. It's going to be part of our life. We're part of the global community. And because of the webinar work, we're able to interact with communities, with business community, particular business communities. So it means work didn't stop, but engagement have continued through using webinar. Just a brief background. I'm part of the Progressive Business Forum as an executive manager. I'm mainly responsible for areas focusing on digital marketing, strategy planning, but also looking at the progressive citizens forums and how we can turn it around, and also working with the merchandisers of the ANC, moving them from just being a merchandiser, but to also play in the economic space. They can be in the mainstream of the economy. What is PBF? PBF is a forum that provides a platform for business communities to engage with the leaders of government. Globally, if you go in Asian countries, in Europe, needs to work with government. During the address by the president in parliament, he said we need to build social cohesion. During the address by the former president, Mr. Mandela, former President Zuma, former President Mbeki, one critical area that they've emphasized is building of social cohesion. What does that mean? Social cohesion, it means government is a developmental role. Private sector has a role to play. Government create an enabling environment for business to strive. Government, business must able to strive through policies that are developed by government. Our role as PBF, we bring the two together. We create a platform for leaders, not just any person, leaders in government, to engage with leaders in business. In other ways, we're connecting the dots. At least business will understand what are the policy directives of government so that they can able to align their planning with the government thinking. How do we do that? We organize events. Every year in the beginning of the year, we host what we call the presidential gala dinner, so that business can able to interact not only with government, but can also interact among themselves. We host what we call the workshops, but we also allow business through PBF to influence the legislative policies. Legislative policies is through parliamentary processes. In terms of the law, everyone has a right to participate in the legislative processes using the parliament. We also create an opportunity for business to able to engage on the policies of the ANC, because every ANC usually hosts what we call the policy processes, but ANC also has what we call the subcommittees. So we are able as business to say, these are policies that have impact in my business, how we make changes. I want to use a typical example. The unabridged birth certificate. There was a challenge that was raised by business community about the unabridged birth certificate. It was through PBF initiatives that we're able to engage with business so that Parliament can able to amend the legislation. So those are areas that PBF is playing at. We also encourage business amongst themselves to able to organize programs amongst themselves. We will facilitate to bring the leader from government. But they're not only dealing with leaders in government, but they're also dealing with leaders of the ANC who are very instrumental. A practical, for instance, the head of the ANC Economic Transformation Committee, Mr. Kotongan, he's not a leader in government. He's a leader in the Financial Development Agency, which is DBSA. So if business wants to engage with him, through PBF, we're able to create an enabling environment so that they can able to engage. So that is our main role. We host events on monthly basis. We work with various partners. So there are events that we host, and there are platforms that we take advantage of, like the platform that has been created by Webinar. So, and then on an ongoing basis, we interact with our members, we share information. We don't call them members, but we call them our subscribers. So that's it from our side in terms of the PBF. Thanks, Sipho.
Thank you very much, Sipho, for just really bringing us into the loop as to how the PBF does fit into these webinars. And without wasting any more time, we've got our panelists, and I'm going to hand over to you, and the platform is all yours. Thank you very much, Clint and Herman. You can take it right away into the legalities of businesses in crisis.
Thank you, Sipokazi. Thanks for having us today. You know, we live in very challenging and difficult times at the moment. Obviously, there are many businesses that are negatively affected by this pandemic. And as an attorney, I work quite closely with, business owners, focus being trying to save their business and look after their employees and, do everything that one can to survive in these times. Business rescue has become quite relevant. It's always been popular since it's been introduced, into our legal system through the Companies Act. But it's become so much relevant right now because there are just so many benefits of business rescue. Herman, who's joining us, is a registered business rescue practitioner. And we'll take you through some of the things that is applicable to business rescue. I think maybe just to perhaps kick off, Herman, your thoughts on business rescue and the times that we are in now?
Yes, Clinton, thank you. I think business rescue has become more relevant than ever before. Business rescue is designed to assist companies and businesses that are financially distressed. And I think if there's something that we are all aware of, that is the fact that we are living in times for businesses. I think there's no better time than now to look at what the proceedings offer business and why it has been designed and introduced in the Companies Act.
I suppose, the most important thing about business rescue is what is the purpose behind it? So we know that the idea is that one wants to rescue a business, but it's more than just that. It's focused on rehabilitating a company. And Herman, in your experience, what does that normally entail?
Yes, Clint. The business rescue proceedings provides for an opportunity for the directors of the company to rescue and restructure the business under certain terms and conditions. And those conditions are basically that a practitioner, which must be independent, can present or have to present a plan to the creditors to show to them how they will be paid and when they will be paid. And the reason for that is because it's a requirement that the company must be financially distressed to be able to enter into business rescue proceedings. And the definition of financially distressed is the company does not have the ability to make payments to its creditors as the debt becomes due and payable. So, knowing that the company is financially distressed, there's a duty on the directors to consider business rescue. And the reason why there is a duty on the directors is so that the creditors does get some form of protection from the company, because you will see in our further discussion that the benefits of business rescue is to assist the directors to come up with a plan whilst not being able to make payments to the creditors and maybe the employees as it would have been under normal circumstances. So it's a give and take situation. There's a duty on the directors to consider business rescue, and in return for that, you will see now when we look into it in more detail that the creditors there's a balance, and the balance is to protect the company against future litigation, and there's a moratorium placed on litigation against the company to give the company a breathing space to restructure itself.
I think that is probably one of the most important benefits of business rescue, is that when you have a company that's financially distressed or faces insolvency, it has an opportunity to bring about involving a practitioner, which then essentially steps in the shoes of directors and oversees the company, but it prevents creditors from instituting claims against the company, and places sort of a moratorium on those kind of claims while the company is under business rescue. That obviously allows a company to try and rescue itself from its financial distress situation that it finds itself in. Herman, when do you think one, if one has a business that's financially distressed, When do you think, a company should consider proceeding with business rescue proceedings? Because often, these things are delayed for months and months, hoping that they can, things can pick up and trade will get better, and that they, just try and break even or make a profit. But when do you think is an opportune time when you have directors who have a fiduciary duty to consider this?
Yes, Clint, it's very important for the directors to know that they should consider business rescue long before the company finds itself in ICU. And I say that because if the business end up not being able to pay its creditors, and there is no real plan on the table, and by that I mean a potential transaction or a contract or an investor that's in the pipeline of becoming involved in the business. If that's not there, it's very difficult to rescue the company. It's not a mechanism designed to buy time. It's a mechanism to give the company a breathing space of a few months to present the plan, and in terms of the plan, say to the creditors what the restructuring will involve and what the plan is to pay what is due to them. So in terms of the Companies Act, you have a few days. You have 25 days to come up with a plan unless the creditors allow you more time, which is possible. The creditors can give you a few months to come up with a plan if they are convinced that you have substantial resolutions and solutions to save the business. Then the plan itself needs to be voted on, and it needs a 75% vote in favor of the plan for the plan to be then implemented by the practitioner. But the plan itself can allow the company another 3 years. So the first hurdle is just to get the plan approved. And in the plan, you must say to the creditors, how are you going to rearrange your affairs to be able to pay them? And if that plan means or make provision for the creditors to be paid over 12 or 24 months, and the creditors are comfortable with that, then that plan is approved, and the business rescue proceedings can then be implemented over a period of 24 months in the example that I've used. So the idea is to get something on the table for the creditors to consider, and the idea is to play open cards with the creditors and say to them, this is what the assets are in the company, these are the liabilities, these are the drawings by the shareholders and the directors. We need to protect the employees. These are the amounts that the employees will be paid. Those are the employees we need to take the business forward. And if there are employee contracts that need to be terminated, the normal process of consultation in terms of Section 189 needs to be followed in business rescue. There's no quick outcome with regards to the employee contracts in business rescue. The normal rules apply in business rescue for the employees.
I think a key thing to also mention under, a company not waiting until the very end to start business rescue is that such a company could find itself in a situation where a creditor comes after the company with a liquidation application. And then you're not in a position to just invoke business rescue. It becomes a lot more trickier around that. Is that not so, Herman?
No, that's absolutely correct, because the challenge then, if any liquidation proceedings have commenced against the company, the directors don't have the option to file a resolution. Then they can only put the company in business rescue by a court application to the High Court to place the company in business rescue, which is much more expensive. And the difference between being able to file a resolution is the resolution can be taken immediately, and all you need to say to the registrar of companies is that the company is financially distressed. That's a requirement. And secondly, that the directors believe the company can be saved, it can be rescued. That's the only requirements. Once that option is taken away from you, and the only option that remains is to go to court and to apply to enter business rescue proceedings by way of a court application, then you must convince the judge with substantial information on how you're going to save the company. And it's not only more expensive, it's more challenging to then enter into business rescue. So you're absolutely right by saying it's better to consider the process and the proceedings earlier rather than later.
And to a large extent, it's actually quite a simple process to initiate business rescue by way of a resolution. The board of the company simply takes a resolution to commence business rescue proceedings, and a sworn statement is, filed with that, sent to, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, in terms of which, the company is then placed under business rescue. So that's fairly straightforward and simple, and fairly inexpensive as well. So there's no reason to complicate the process by leaving it, for a very long time and running the risk that you may have creditors coming after you. I think, Herman, what's important to also, talk about is the role that directors of a company play once a company is in business rescue, because a practitioner would then be appointed, someone like Herman, who's a business rescue practitioner and who's registered and who's independent. And this person would come on board and, in a sense, take control of the company by having oversight of the company, and there's many other duties related to that too. Herman, what is the role of directors once a business rescue practitioner is involved in the company?
Yeah, Clint, from experience, I can tell you that the role of the directors remain very important. Remember, the directors are those individuals with the knowledge and experience of the business and the sector in which the business is operating. The business rescue practitioner either has an accounting background or a business background, or maybe even a legal background. But it's not to say, even if the business rescue practitioner is comfortable with the sector within the business operates, the detail and the experience remains with the directors. What is important, however, is that the directors does report to the practitioner. All the physical payments and the decision making and the signing of contracts and the negotiations must take place under the supervision of the business rescue practitioner. And for as long as the business is in business rescue, the practitioner must sign all documents on behalf of the company. But from a practical point of view, the directors, they remain bound with regards to their fiduciary duties, and they remain involved in the decision making and providing advice to the practitioner.
I think, one of the important roles of directors is to support the practitioner and assist the practitioner in terms of, providing, records or information, all kinds of financial information that may be necessary, and to continue in their role in terms of managing the business, but reporting to the practitioner. And it's really sort of a group effort, so to speak, in terms of trying to turn the company around. It's not a situation where directors can now simply sit back and say, well, there's a practitioner, it's the practitioner's problem in terms of fixing this company and turning it around. They actually have to work together to sort things out. Is that not so, Herman?
No, that's absolutely correct. From experience, you often realize that the directors have a lot of good ideas, but with the company being financially distressed, so much time and effort goes into communication with debts and default situations and meetings with financiers and bankers to try and address the financially distressed situation. The business rescue proceedings take that away. It takes it out of the equation, because all the creditors, there's a line drawn in the sand, and all debt owed by the company on that day, when the line is drawn, those debts become part of the plan. And all of those creditors know they're not going to be paid immediately. They will be paid in terms of a plan. So now the directors and the practitioner has time to focus on what's required to restructure the business. Now the directors can come up to say, but we've been involved in negotiations with those parties. We've been considering restructuring that debt in that way. And now there's time for everyone to sit around the table and to say, let's focus on the business. For the next month or two, and thereafter, for as long as the plan provides, we can focus on the business without having to focus on trying to keep the creditors happy so that no one take legal action against the company.
In effect, I think what you're also saying is that as a business rescue practitioner, you have the power to suspend obligations that are due by the company under contracts in favor of its creditors. Is that not so?
Yes, absolutely. That's the balance that I referred to earlier in our discussion. The reason when I spoke about the duty that's on the directors, that there's a duty on the directors not to continue to do business under insolvent circumstances, and they must take cognizance of that. But in return for that, there's now an opportunity for the practitioner to say to the creditors, in terms of Section 136 of the Companies Act, I have the powers to suspend certain conditions in an agreement. To use an example, one of the aspects that we are currently dealing with is a wine farm who rent wine barrels annually. And they then pay for that wine barrels on a monthly basis over a 12-month period. Now the wine barrels have been filled with wine. And the wine barrels, although it's not the property of the company that's in business rescue, it's in possession of the business rescue, of the company in business rescue, and it's filled with wine, which is the property of the company. That wine is what you need to save the business. You need to bottle that wine. You need to sell that wine. That's the tool to save this business. Now, should the company, the rentor, in terms of the rental agreement, now claim possession of the wine barrels, the practitioner can, in terms of Section 136, suspend that clause, the clause in the agreement that say, should the company be in business rescue or should the company be in default, the rentor has the right to immediately call up the agreement, cancel the agreement, and collect the barrels. Now, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So the business rescue practitioner will formally inform that company, we acknowledge the fact that the wine barrels is your property. We are in possession of the barrels, and we need the barrels to save the company. We suspend the clause in the agreement that gives you the right to collect the barrels. You must please wait for the barrels. We will handle and we will deal with the barrels in the plan. And we won't take away your rights. We won't take away your property. But we will tell you how we're going to deal with it in the plan.
I think another important aspect that one needs to focus on is the role of employees and how they feature, in the company while it's under business rescue. It's obviously a different situation if the company was under liquidation and where, employees are concerned. How are employees regarded and dealt with under business rescue of a company? Herman.
Yes. We briefly touched on it. Fortunately for the employees, they have all the rights that they have under normal circumstances. And that is why it's so important for the directors not to wait until the company has got no working capital left, because you need to continue to pay the workers. And you can't send them home. You can't suspend their contracts. They are employed. You can only change the employment contracts through a process of consultation like you normally have to go through. So it's important for the company and the business to have enough capital to continue to work and continue to pay the basic requirements for the company to keep its doors open until a plan is presented. And in that plan, if the plan makes provision for the restructuring of employees' contracts, the employees will have the right to vote on that, and the creditors will have the right, the trade unions will have their right to advise their members how to vote on the plan.
Hannah, is dropping employee salaries an option for businesses? And are a lot of businesses doing that?
It will only be possible through a process of consultation. Like under normal circumstances. So where there's a trade union involved, there will have to be consultations, there will have to be meeting with shop stewards, you'll have to inform the trade union, and you will have to come to an agreement with those employees.
Employees generally be very open to doing that to save businesses and to save their jobs. Ultimately, isn't it something that employees should really do the best to do if possible, obviously?
Absolutely, absolutely. And from experience, it is so that employees are sometimes prepared for a specific period and under circumstances and in certain conditions to reduce their salaries so that more of them can remain employed over a period of time. So yes, it's that balance that we've referred to.
And then there's another question, and I guess going to both Herman and Clint. So have you seen a significant number of companies that have sought business rescue since COVID-19 as opposed to before COVID-19?
Yes, if I may come in there, unfortunately, yes. Our phones are ringing, and a lot of the phone calls is just questions and directors asking about the process. But for the last month and a half, we've been inundated with inquiries about business rescue, unfortunately.
What kind of sectors, what kind of business sectors are simply battling the most? Is it restaurants or hotels and tourism? At the moment seems to be, the idea that they're suffering the most, but maybe not. What are you experiencing?
My experience is that most of the companies that enter into business rescue are linked to the construction industry, and obviously there's a lot of spin-offs. The construction industry expands to those companies manufacturing trusses and making paint. So it's not. It's to a large extent, the whole construction industry is under a lot of pressure, and that unfortunately was the case before the pandemic. With regards to companies like restaurants, a lot of the restaurants will simply just close their doors. And the problem that they face is if they cannot afford to pay their rent and to pay their staff, they won't even be able to consider business rescue unless there's something in the pipeline, post-commencement finance, or if there's an investor who wants to become involved in the business, then it's a different story.
And
a lot of businesses are just going to...
A very interesting question here. In your experience, would creditors much rather prefer to see a company in business rescue than to try and liquidate it and then stand to lose a lot more? How are creditors feeling about all of this?
Yeah, creditors, from my experience, creditors go through certain phases. The initial phase is one of shock. When the business rescue process commenced, all the creditors need to be informed, and the business rescue process is quite easy in the sense that everything happens on email. It's not registered post and meetings at the magistrate courts like you have with insolvencies. It's easy, it's effective, and everyone receives the email. And on that email, notice is given of the business rescue. The initial reaction from creditors in general is quite negative. They immediately phone their attorney or instruct the attorney to make contact with the practitioner. And then as the process evolves and the plan is made available, the creditors are, and they will see in the plan what the situation will be if the company is liquidated. That's one of the most important requirement of the plan, is that the first part of the plan must show each creditor what the dividend will be in liquidation. And that is a benchmark available to all the creditors. So they will know from the first moment they receive the plan, if the company is liquidated, I'm going to get 15 cents in the rand. If in terms of the plan, if I provide the company an opportunity to rearrange its affairs over 12 months, I might get 60 cents or 70 cents or even all of the money, depending on the status of the company at that stage. But that's an easy comparison, and at that stage, the creditors become more relaxed and they get information. They can trust the information because, with all respect, we are all directors and we've all been directors in companies. But the creditors in a financial distress situation come to a certain point where they don't know whether they can rely on the information that they get from the company, because a company that's financially distressed makes certain promises to pay, and to some extent the company can fulfill those promises, and sometimes they can't. And as soon as that happens, there's a trust issue between the creditors and the directors. As soon as a practitioner present and publish a plan, the creditors know this plan is like a contract. This plan is binding. It's binding to all creditors. It's binding the company. It binds the practitioner. If the plan is not what it says it is, the practitioner can become personally liable.
That the plan.
Rental. Can you add that to? Sorry.
I just wanted to add on that the business rescue plan is also applicable to creditors who may not participate in the process of business rescue. So in other words, if they don't come to the table necessarily and and they, you know, prepare to help the company, but they're bound by that plan because they're a creditor of the company. Correct, Herman?
That's right. That's right. If a creditor decides not to participate or not to vote, if the plan is approved, it's binding on all the creditors, whether they've participated or not. And what's also interesting, in some instances, you have a group of creditors that are in favor of the plan. And then you might have a group of creditors that are against the plan. And there's an opportunity for those creditors who are prepared to assist the company to make an offer to those creditors who want to vote against the plan by their claims. And then those creditors can vote plan. So there's a lot of opportunities for creditors who say, but I'm prepared to walk the road with this company. If that group of creditors are not prepared, I make an offer to buy their claims. And that offer, it becomes technically, but that offer can be valued at the dividend in liquidation.
Trish,
so if you voted...
I'd also just like to add that there's been quite a trend now with COVID-19 that creditors are prepared to work with companies that are in distress because in a sense they need each other, you know. So if you have a landlord and a tenant and the tenant is unable to pay the rent, you know, landlords are more sort of open to considering other options to work with the tenant and not just trying to kick them out or, you know, put them sort of in liquidation or that type of thing. So, you know, when you have someone like Herman who's a business rescue practitioner and a plan is put together, you know, creditors participate in these, you know, these plans to try and assist these businesses because in a sense, they also need those businesses.
What happens if creditors vote down the plan? Is the only option liquidation? Do you think that's it for most?
There is provision in the plan if the vote is in get the plan adopted, there is an opportunity for the practitioner to publish a revised plan if the creditors agree to an postponement of the meeting and an opportunity for the practitioner to make certain changes. It happens a lot in the meeting that the creditors say, we're not prepared to vote in favor of the plan, but should you include that or change that, we will allow you the opportunity to publish a revised plan. But if the plan is voted against and there's no opportunity to publish a revised plan, the company is automatically liquidated, yes.
Okay, that does bring us to the top of the hour. It is 1:05. And I think the one thing that I really want to zoom into, which is what Clint was talking about, where creditors now are very willing to work with businesses in crisis, you know? And for me, that speaks to compassion. You know, we are in this together, and compassion is one of the biggest benefits of mindfulness. You know, it is really getting to a point where we realize that, you know what, I'm struggling, you're struggling, we might as well collaborate so that we're able to solve this problem. And this is really the whole entire purpose of these webinars, is to encourage such collaborations. It is to encourage such compassion, because at the end of the day, I know for a fact it's my first time going through something like this, and I'm sure most of us can also say that. So what that means is that we are all just really trying to navigate and to really find our way in this new normal. And just to bring everything else to the close, I'm just going to allow Sipho to also just maybe share some words, also Trish in closing, and any other closing words. And then at the end, I just have some announcements to make. So please do hang 10 announcements for our upcoming webinars. Over to you, Sipho.
Well, thanks a lot. PBF will be organizing the Zoom engagement, inviting various business leaders to engage with our communities, with business communities. The Progressive Citizens Forum, which is another forum which we have established for ordinary men and women We'll be hosting a deputy minister this evening at 18 hours. Deputy Minister Zizu Kodwa. Deputy Minister will be talking about lessons learned from Mandela's leadership. As we celebrate the month of Mandela, we thought let's put focus on Mandela. Thank you.
Thank you. Trish?
Can anybody join that webinar tonight? It sounds really, really interesting.
My team, the collective team, will call, if maybe you can check, we'll check with our team. I know they've used our social media accounts. If you go at ANCPCF, where there's social media, you'll find there's a social media poster. Then you learn a lot. It will be exciting engagement this evening.
That sounds awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say quickly before I love and leave everybody, that Ryan, who led us in the mindfulness earlier on, has offered everybody a complimentary CD that he's done on mindfulness, which was really, really lovely. So if anyone would like a copy, please email us on info@liferetreats.co.za and we will send you a copy. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm going to hand over to people.
Great. And I think for me, just to really formally thank, before I make all the announcements, Clint and Herman, for really taking the time and sharing your perspective and your expertise, especially to businesses who are going through challenging times during this pandemic. And I wish you guys the best in working with the businesses. And my hope is that collaboration, compassion, and solutions will be found. And I think this is also the balance of things. And then just to announce for next week we're digging deeper into digital marketing and sales. As we know, obviously the world is going digital, we're going virtual, everything is just happening through technology. And we really want to dig deeper into that. And as you can see in front of you as well, our other upcoming topics around unlearning for relearning for this new normal. We will also be touching on working remotely. I mean, obviously some people have to continue working remotely, or some businesses are completely transformed to working remotely. And how do you then balance stress and productivity? And last, just to get on to the next slide, our very last webinar, which will take place on the 30th of July, we want to invite all businesses that have been participating in our series to come and share their journey of the past 3 months or 2 months. And this is going to be an open webinar where all our participants will also have the opportunity to be part of the panel and share around mindfulness, their own innovation, their own resilience, for all of us to actually learn from that. And also, last but not least, through the Life Retreat and Lifelong Learning, we do offer customized webinars, masterclasses, half-day sessions. So please do reach out to us. Trish and I have facilitated these for the PBF and other businesses to really bring in the mindfulness perspective into business. And last but not least, I'd really like to take the time to thank our panelists, our participants for joining us again today for our hour of mindfulness, innovation, and resilience. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. And that's it from our side. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And I'd like to leave you with this, which is really a note of gratitude from a mindfulness perspective. Thank you for this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. Thank you for the chance to be here and now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Do enjoy your day and the rest of the week.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks, Sipo.
Thanks,
Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Sipo. Thank you,
Helen. And thanks to our experts. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.